the last 10 years, thanks to digital cameras, more and more people are making their own movies. Showing them on the web or in local theaters, filmmaking has turned into the new garage band. Framelines puts a spotlight on the people who make movies on every level.
Framelines is brought to you in part by Backyard HD, Tape Central, Production Partners Media.
Ohio State University alumni Ruth Lang has achieved a lot in a short time. Take a look at her work.
She died a few years ago.
I'm sorry.
Why? You didn't do anything? You thirsty?
No, thanks. I'm okay.
Okay. Well, think about it. So tell me about yourself, Henry.
There's not much to tell.
It's ridiculous. You've lived a whole life of stories. I'm just asking for one. Okay, what's the worst thing that ever happened to you?
Why would you want to know that?
Because I figure if we start with the worst, then months from now we won't have to go through that awkward moment when one of us realizes that the other person isn't actually perfect.
The first Lord of the Rings movie came out when I was a freshman in high school. Like, I saw that film and then I immediately was drawn to filmmaking, and so I think that's what really got me interested in it. And then I started writing, and I joined a Comtech class, and we, had our own little news show. So I was really drawn to it from probably early high school. How I first got introduced to filmmaking was when I started at Ohio State, and they don't actually have a film program there. They have film studies classes, but no production. So my first year in college, I joined this group called Real Buckeye Productions. And it was a student organization that was dedicated to making independent films, kind of without guidance of a class. So we made this feature film called 3 Easy Payments, and I just had a minor role in it, but that really made me love filmmaking. The first thing I was the cinematographer for was Real Buckeye's second feature production, which was called The Works of Darren McGannon. Some people seem a little surprised when I mention that I want to do cinematography, or that I'm a videographer, because they expect some big burly guy that can muscle a camera around. But since video has become a lot more lightweight, a lot more compact, it's a lot easier for somebody of my build to be able to perform those same duties. And I think people are surprised when they see what I can carry around too, that I'm not as weak as I might look. It's good exercise. I'll put it that way. The first thing I actually directed was technically a class project. It was a little short I did called Well Thought Out Lies, and it was really just a conversation between these two guys in a bar. My next short that I did, Drowning in Rainwater, it started out on a drive to the Sundance Film Festival, actually. Me and my friends that kind of all made movies together, the people that are involved in Real Buckeye Productions, we just decided to drive to Park City to the Sundance Film Festival, and it took about 32 hours. So we really had to, fill this time with something. So we decided that each of us were gonna write a short film in the car, that we're all gonna be part of a collection of shorts that we would end up making. So we kind of chose the theme of love, a la Paris Je T'aime sort of thing. We're all in the car on our laptops writing these love shorts and just kind of spitting out whatever came to us. And that's how Drowning in Rainwater started. Unfortunately, the project, the whole love shorts thing, didn't come to fruition, but I got a really good short out of it, so.
I want you to leave, Neil.
Too bad. Mikey? What's he doing out there?
I'm not gonna ask you again. There's no point in talking to him. He won't answer.
Mikey!
Neil?
How you doing, buddy?
She left me.
Yeah, I know. You want to talk about it?
No.
Sleepless Night in the Middle of Nowhere is about 5 strangers who are out in the middle of the night in a small town in Ohio, whose paths are fatefully intertwined.
I'm gonna get some cigarettes.
So what do you think they're gonna do when they find out?
I think they'll be excited.
Really?
Yeah. Here. Give me your hand. I think they'll throw a big party, and the whole town will be there. My dad will tell your dad not to worry because his son has a lucrative illustrating career ahead of him. Your mom will brag to my mom about your childbearing hips, and then everyone will toast to the happy couple, and we'll go home and have tons of marital sex. There.
You know, back in school, I used to basically be the shooter and the director of my own little shorts, but it was only after I decided to do a bigger project that I kind of let go of the cinematography reins and kind of handed those off to somebody else. And, you know, it was kind of a difficult thing for me to do because I consider myself kind of a visual director, so I really had to kind of work on my communication skills and try and articulate what I had in my mind. Right now, I'm just kind of trying to get that feature film off the ground. I think I would like to make it. It's not kind of in the immediate future for me, but it's something that I really would like to do. And then I also have another short story that I've been working on that I've been developing into a short screenplay, possibly expanding into a feature film. But yeah, right now it's writing. I'm in the writing process, but hopefully I'll get to shoot something here. If I had it my way, I would live in Columbus all my life and just make movies here.
A Steadicam can do some amazing things, and Nick Sutton is here to tell us about this technological wonder called the Steadicam.
Steadicam is mostly used for motion. When it comes to static shots, it's okay if you don't hold it for that long, say maybe starting the scene or at the end of a specific scene, it's fine. But if it's just dialogue going back and forth, you best put it on the sticks. Steadicam itself just gives it more of an organic feel to it, like you're walking from one room to the next, and it makes you feel like you're that character. Steadicam is an art form, but it's also a skill at the same time. And I sort of just gravitated toward it naturally, because if you look at the technical aspects behind it, well, the best. I've been playing percussion since I can remember in the marching band. The vest is exactly the same. The physical aspect of Steadicam is you have to be in shape constantly. It's physically demanding, having that much weight on you, and not only that, but also taking consideration that your frame has to be spot on each and every time. When talking to directors, wanted to know if it was if this would be a Steadicam shot or not, or whether rather just put it on sticks. It's for myself. If the shot has to do a lot with motion, either leading, following, a walk and talk, or going up steps, absolutely. But if it's a static shot and I said, well, I want the shot steady, I said, okay, awesome. Put it on the sticks and be done with it. With Steadicam and prepping for the particular shot, a lot of different factors come in. One being what type of camera it is. Secondly, depending on the shot, whether it's high mode where the camera is up here, or underslung low mode when the camera's down there below. It all depends. Every situation is different. It also depends on the difficulty of the shot. It's just the movement of it, just being able to just go where no camera's gone before. I know it's cliche as it may sound, but just the freedom of walking, have a walk and talk, following, leading, just this organic feel like you would be walking around from one room to the next, and just the whole synergy of it. I can't even describe it. It's a rush. It's like a complete rush.
Coming up next, Peter John Ross shows us some basic movie making techniques.
To create the shot palette for production and eventually editing, there are several types of shots you can start with. For a scene, you can start with an establishing shot. This is usually an exterior to show the audience where the scene is going to take place. Next, you can show a master shot. This shows the geography of a scene, the proximity of the actors to one another, and the objects in a scene. Now you can get into the coverage for a scene. Over-the-shoulder shots are commonly used to keep that sense of geography in a scene, even though it's a new camera angle. Cutting to another over-the-shoulder shot keeps the editorial pace going, but also shows the other actors reacting, listening, and delivering their lines. From there, you can go to the close-ups. These usually follow the over-the-shoulder shots and continue the spatial relations. Extreme close-ups are when you want to get much closer in on an actor's face or anything else you want to get a lot more detail on in the shot. For a more effective use of these shot types, it's better to save the close-ups and extreme close-ups for moments that are more revealing, more important to the characters and the scene. That way they can have a bigger impact on the audience.
Frameline stopped by the set of Dave Sabbath's feature film God Don't Make the Laws that features actors Paul Sorvino from Goodfellas and Bruce Davison from the X-Men films.
I'll tell you something else. When the Hawk, that's what we call him, the Hawk. When he arrived, in the evenings, when the lights were out, we would hear this howling.
Howling?
Yeah, like a dog crying, eerie sound. Yeah. And this guard, mean son of a bitch, he shot him. And there was no howling after that, but the next morning, this same guard was found in his home with his trigger hand chewed off. I mean, I saw it. It was a pool of red, just bled to the bone.
But that's, that's quite a story.
Tell you one last thing. Through all the years, every kind of boy has come through this institution, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is like Hawk.
It actually started as a short story. I entered it in a, I can't remember, it was an LA writing festival, and it was a finalist, and it was actually going to make it as a short story, and at that time I had Robert Prescott signed on to play Eddie. And then I just kind of looked at all the resources that would go into it, and for not much more I was able to make it a feature, and I thought, well, I might as well just dive in and make a feature, and just got away from a short. I heard a song, Level Land by James McMurtry, and it's a story about kind of a town that just can't get it right. And then I've always been a basketball freak. I played in high school quite a bit. That's all I did actually growing up. And so it was just a marriage of two, small town. I like to tell people that the movie's about if Stephen King was writing on the back of Norman Rockwell postcards. Actually named the town Rockwell. I'm in love with this screenplay. I mean, the inspiration on this screenplay, two things. I'm all about inclusion. You know, everyone wants to be included, and we live in a society where so many of us are excluded. I'm really into inclusion. And then, you know, my daughter's Elizabeth, and she's a real tough kid, and this movie is not about basketball. It's not about Paul Sorvino's character. It's about a little girl named Colby Palmer, and she's just a tough kid who I've seen it all, and she never ages. You know, she's the bottom line is she's been 17 for 34 years, and she has to deal with that, and you know, I feel sometimes society drags on all of us, and she's just amazing. She's the hero. She's my hero. I started with my producer who produces my commercial. His name's Alex Esber. He's been producing for me for, like, I think 3 years now, and we have a good synergy, and he knows all my bad habits, and he knows how I growl, and he's able to hang with me. And I've always, because it's a basketball movie, and Adam White, who shoots quite a bit of my commercials, he's my DP. You know, he's a big sports fan, and we always talk sports, and we've talked about this movie. I mean, I've been talking about doing this particular script for about 2 years now. And then when I finally pulled the trigger, I started with those two, and then the departments just filtered it from that. You know, I can't tell you how all these crew people were found, where they came from. I mean, I really just started with Adam and Alex, and everything else went from there. Well, my crew's fantastic. I mean, I don't even have to worry about them. I mean, you know, Dan Gerald, the gaffer's amazing. Jared Green, the key grip's amazing. Aaron Smith, he's fantastic. I mean, I just love the crew, and they know me, and they know how I am. We've had 3 or 4 night shoots till 2, 3 in the morning, and it's been, you know, 9 degrees with the wind chill factor. And you know the most amazing thing? Ella Ray Peck, who plays Colby Palmer, she's outside in a cheerleading outfit. It's 9 degrees, and she's not missing a line. You know, I'm bundled up in 3 sweatshirts and an overcoat. She's out there in a cheerleading outfit, not missing a line. I mean, that's tough. I just looked at her and I'm like, you are amazing. You are one tough kid. I mean, she's like 20 years old and just not missing a line, and it's freezing. But the cold takes its toll. I mean, you know, 10 to 12, 14 hours out in this kind of weather at night starts to take its toll. So that's been really the toughest part. I mean, it really has been. Everything else has been just, you know, paint by numbers, but and just getting through it, grinding through it, doing our jobs, making things happen. But the talent's been so amazing that it's really made my job easy. Well, I mean, I handpicked some locals, and then I casted in New York for a week and got all my teenagers. I started with Prescott, and then I moved on to Bud Kelly, who has a very small role, but I wanted someone who is authoritative, but just, you know, comfortable, and that's when I got Bruce Davison. I felt really lucky to get him. And then Lewis, who plays, he has a very main part in the present day. I call him authority coming from above the president, is Paul Sorvino. And I actually, you know, Prescott, Sorvino, and Davison, I mean, I heard back from their agents and they loved the script, and I think that's one of the reasons I was able to get them, is that they liked the material. My plans are to get it done, enter it in European festivals. The first American festival I'll enter it in will be Sundance, and then I'll see where it goes from there. This is all of ours. I mean, it's not mine, it's all of ours. And they're thrilled, man. It's great. I mean, there's a great synergy going on, and that's really, I mean, that's why we all do this. This is the main reason why we all do this, is just for, you know, we're creating something. I mean, it's marvelous. It's great to do a feature. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's everything I thought it would be. I thought I was pretty damn prepared for all this. And I knew it'd be a grind. I knew it would go over budget, and I knew, and I just, you know, I'll be glad when it's over. I'll be sad and glad when it's over. I'll be glad because I'm going to sleep for 2 days. I'll be sad because I'll miss the drug.
Peter John Ross hosts a roundtable discussion with screenwriters.
Do you use the specialized software like Final Draft?
Final Draft.
What's
I just use Celtics.
I use
Free
Celtics sometimes.
software.
Free software for
Yeah.
screenwriting.
Movie Magic.
I used to Movie Magic. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I outgrew. It's like, I don't know what happened. I went through this phase and I just left it. It was like a child that I just abandoned on the road.
Oh no!
I know.
I picked up that child. I'm taking care of Movie Magic now.
That's good.
I've used all of them.
Yeah.
I've even used the like Swift 97, the free Word template in Word, which is free, but it does all the formatting automatically.
That's nice.
I mean, how often has it been true for you? They always say that 1 page in screenplay format equals 1 minute of screen time. Has that been pretty true for you?
Early on it was, yeah, I think so, because the visuals were so important to me that, I'd find that, one of my first shorts was 12 minutes long, and the script plate was 12 pages. So it hit just about right. Maybe it's 12:30 or something. It was really close.
Lately I've been writing a lot more. There were less dialogue, and I find it's more per minute, per page. It's like, I just did O Come All Ye Unfaithful, and I think the script was like 2.5 pages.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
and how long was the piece?
It was over 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I just thought, it would be like, oh, it'll be really short. And
it just got longer and longer.
There was
and
so
longer.
much action you have to get across. So.
Well, that's true, because I mean, the action descriptions could be 5 or 6 shots for one line.
Exactly.
When it comes to more action-oriented stuff in a screenplay.
There was no dialogue in it.
None whatsoever.
So, but I find it true that 1 page per minute was pretty true. So as long as you have some dialogue.
Yeah, dialogue's helpful.
So, and this is going to be for each of you. It's kind of, where do you come up with, like, where's the basic ideas for a lot of your stories come from? Does it come more from real life, or is it more pure fantasy, or where's the kind of the root of the majority of your screenwriting?
I think I have that bad habit that Fitzgerald has. I'm a bad eavesdropper. Like in restaurants, I like to watch people. I like to watch their habits. I was an actor for about 10 or 15 years, and so part of that understanding character thing is a big part of, I think, what goes into the writing too. So I watch people to kind of learn and understand, and then I sort of modify that in my fictional world, I guess. And the idea is, it's amazing. For me, they can come from a single note of music. They can come from a headline, and the headline might not then even be the story, but it's the energy in the headline that will facilitate the emotion. So for me, it's always been like, it's a visual or a sound, or it's not like it's historical, something is coming from my life as a child on the prairie, pigtails, no, just kidding. But no, that doesn't happen to me. It's really, it just tends to be something that's sort of, I just connect with something around me. And then I feel that dramatic center, when we get that dramatic center as writers, where you go, I have to write that story, whether it's kind of strange or funny, or I tend to write a lot more dramatic. And then from that, it just goes, and I can hear that dialogue immediately, and then boom, that's the first thing I do, because I'm just running, and then the dialogue is just sort of building it's building that spine, and then I go back in and fill in the visuals, and then of course I will cut some dialogue, because there's no way it's perfect out the gate ever, but that's part of my process.
I usually keep a notebook with me. I have so many more film ideas than I would ever possibly do. It's just like occasionally I'll read through it and I'm like, oh, I don't remember that happening. So a lot of times though, just in reality, I like watch something and think about the possibilities of things, and it kind of makes me laugh. Like Heart, the movie about the cell phone. I was with my friend, we're at a coffee shop, he went out to smoke. I was like, it'd be funny if his phone were, like, text right now, I was responding back. So like all just came pretty quickly of like what ifs. I guess I think of what ifs all the time.
Oh, that is the question for every writer, is the what if question.
Yeah.
If you don't ask it, I don't think you're going to have a screenplay.
Where's your biggest inspirations come from?
Oh, Lordy. They come from lots and lots of places. You mentioned that you were an actress, and I did that circuit for about 13 years. You've got a few years on me for the acting, but community theater, I loved that whole thing, and I loved working with actors, and eventually I started doing choreography, and I found this whole world of dance and music. So today, to this very day, if I hear any song and that song touches me in some way, it can be very sad, it can be very happy. That will stay in my head for a very long time, and I'll just start getting pictures whenever I hear that song again. And sometimes I'll do the little notebook thing, and I'll just start writing out a little bit of a journal when I hear that music again. and then I'll just start seeing ideas forming of things that, little pictures I get in my head. I'll tell you what, music for me is probably the most inspirational thing.
When back to the music though, when you're working on a screenplay, do you build a soundtrack? Do you create specific songs that you listen to for characters, for scenes? Because I do that.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a soundtrack. It's not doesn't go in the screenplay, obviously, but it's
more like
inspirational.
It's inspiration that it informs me about the character or the scene. Do you do that as well?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I built a little web page, in fact, for myself. It's like a little production notes web page, and I put music for each character.
Well, you were talking about where ideas can't come from.
Yeah, we're talking about where the ideas come from.
And I've just described it to people, and they act like I'm crazy sometimes, but it's like almost as static that like images form. And we were talking about it and relating on it.
Right, because one thing people do, when you daydream, some people think, well, you have to have your eyes closed and be really focused and zoning. But I can tell you now that even as I'm talking to you, I have a picture in my head of something, just because we were talking about it. You can get visions, you can get visuals in your head,
That's
even though you're
for me.
carrying on a conversation with somebody. You may just get a little glimpse of something, and you'll
like
think
I
later,
zone out
wonder
into like a
write that.
story.
That's-
It's like just I'm not even there anymore.
But that's pretty much it.
Thanks for watching Framelines. If you'd like to know more about the show, check us out online at framelines.tv. And there you have it. We'll see you again on Framelines.